If you've been doubting yourself, worrying about what other people think, this is your sign to stop. Like, really stop it. Because you're wasting your time, you're wasting your potential, and I don't want you to do that. In this video, I'm going to tell you how to be more confident. Confidence is so important. Some people are like, you have it or you don't, but I don't think that is true at all. I am truly, at my core, I am a confident person, but I think it is normal and human for people to have insecurities. And I think when you let those insecurities get the best of you, I think that is when you can become an insecure person. So when you start working on those insecurities by getting to know yourself, by doing the work, working on yourself, I think that is the key to the power of the self. And I want you to walk into a room without needing validation. So I'm going to share a few of my tips because personally I think that I am a very secure person, but I have done a lot of work on myself, like some inner work. So how can you start to become more confident is actually by trusting yourself, by showing up for yourself. Self-confidence doesn't come just by affirmations, by talking to yourself, but it also comes from really showing up for yourself, like showing action. So every time you make a promise to yourself, like, oh, I'm going to clean up my room, I'm going to do the dishes, I'm going to start on Monday, I'm going to chase my dreams this month. And every time you make this promise to yourself and you don't follow through, that is actually when you lose confidence in yourself. And sometimes we don't even realize it. We don't realize that we are losing self-trust. And self-trust is another key ingredient to being confident. Confidence, we always think that the most beautiful and gorgeous people are the most confident, but that is not true. The people who know that they are reliable, that they can trust on themselves, those are the people that are actually often more confident than those people that just lose their words and just don't follow through with what they're saying. So a way to change this is by looking at your patterns, looking at what am I telling myself that isn't the truth. What am I telling myself that is not helping me? Because we are often, our worst critics. And I think that is also a reason why I am so confident with myself and so secure as a person, is because everything that, any person could tell me, whether it's through a mean comment or something in real life, I've probably already told myself. And that is a sad reality, but I've learned to become my own best friend through this. So whatever someone is telling me, I'm usually pretty good with dealing with bad comments and hateful things because I'm strong at my core. I've became secure. And one thing is, I think we have to become more of a friend towards ourselves. So learn your patterns, learn everything about yourself through books, through astrology, through, practicing things, through going on solo dates. You can do so many things to get to know yourself. And when you really get to know yourself on a deeper level, through shadow work or through therapy, I highly recommend doing these things, especially when you're younger and you want to be more confident. When we do those things, we actually start to not only learn about ourselves, but also we're starting to show up for ourselves. And I think that is very important, especially if, nobody in your environment is really standing up for you. Like you can, even if it's lonely, you can start to become your own best friend, because in that way, you have to rely on yourself. When I was younger, when I was like around 14, 15, I was going through a lot, and I was going through a lot of, bad things in my life. And I was missing something in my life, and it was having fun. Like, I don't think that I really had the opportunity to be a child in many ways. I was more of the, independent child and having to take care of myself in a lot of ways too. And I think because of this, I was really relying on friends to make my life more fun. And my friends weren't always there, or my friends didn't always have the same idea of fun, and that is not their fault. And it is not my fault either, because I was a child. I didn't know all these things. But I think that if I had more fun in my childhood, I think a lot of things would have been different now. But it taught me something very valuable, and it taught me to, make the most out of life, because when I got a little bit older, that pattern started to repeat. I was relying on the other people to do things with my life. I started to rely on people to travel. And at some point I was just like, no, this is not the life that I want. I'm not going to wait for other people. And I started traveling by myself. I made so many amazing trips. I went to Bali, I went to London, I went to the US multiple times, and I made so many amazing friends there that I'm still friends with right now. And if I had waited for friends, when I was younger, that I'm not even friends with anymore, I would have never, had all these amazing experiences by myself, and I wouldn't have met all these amazing people that are still in my life today. So, traveling by myself also made me super confident, because it taught me that I can make friends on my own. I can do so many things on my own. I don't have to rely on other people to, take care of things. And with being really by myself, I had to make small decisions that we often are with other people when we're doing things, when we're going shopping, or when we're going for lunch, or when we're doing activities. And we're always kind of like, oh, what do you want? What are you in the mood for? And, instead of like, because it's not a selfish thing to do, when you're with other people, you shouldn't be just thinking about yourself. But if you're always with other people, your inner voice becomes more quiet. And I think it is very important for our inner voice to be loud and to be expressive. And in that way, we can trust that whatever comes up, our needs, the things that we want, the things that our body's asking of us, is actually what we really want and what we need. And I think this is not talked about enough, because we're relying on a lot of other people in our lives. So another thing that I want to talk about is, don't care what other people think. It's little like, get over the cringe, just start posting or start doing whatever you want. And in the beginning, it will be cringy and you will feel insecure or uncomfortable, but that is part of the growing process. I don't think anything you do in life that is important starts with confidence and comfort. So just tell yourself and ask yourself, what is it really that I want to do, and what do I want to accomplish in life, and why am I letting the opinions of other people that you probably don't even care about get in the way? Like, really. I have to tell you a story, because I had a blog when I was 12, 13, and I used to do like beauty reviews, like makeup reviews. And no, my camera wasn't the best. And my makeup skills weren't the best, because I was practicing and I was basically documenting this on the internet for everybody to see. And at some point, I started to get really mean comments, like really mean comments that it wasn't really advice, and it was just like rude. I'm pretty savvy when it comes to the internet, so I was able to find out that the person who was leaving comments on my blog, the rude comments, was actually someone who I thought was my friend, and someone who I thought I could trust. And to this day, I still don't understand why you don't come up to me as a friend to tell me like, hey, maybe I can help you with taking pictures, or, maybe your foundation is a little too orange, because, it was 2012. I didn't know any better. Later, I was just like, this person is just kind of like not able to, this person is probably not a friend to themselves, so they cannot be a friend towards me. And I think that was also a big lesson that I've learned and that I want to share, is that if you cannot be your own friend, or if you cannot be nice to yourself, it's going to be sometimes even harder to have like real connections with other people. If you want to take anything from this video that I'm making right now, is that be your own friend. Like, start to make promises that you can keep towards yourself, because that is the way to really gain your self-trust and self-respect and real confidence. Not fake confidence, real confidence. So now I want to share a few tips and tricks that I've learned. So one thing that I probably haven't really been doing in this video is to talk slower and make eye contact with people. I know this is a little bit of a further step, that if you feel already confident, this is maybe something that you want to start doing, but you can actually practice this by recording videos like I'm doing right now, or you can practice in the mirror or start recording yourself with your phone. But if you can hold your own gaze, that will also start to make you feel more comfortable with yourself. Okay, something very niche is one tip that I got from an astrologer. I'm also an astrologer, by the way, but someone else, kind of like a mentor of mine. And he told me that if you have a strong core, so if you have like abs, like you don't really have to have abs, but if you have like a strong core, narcissists cannot really mess with you. And that made so much sense to me. And it might sound so silly to you, but having a strong core and having like good posture, I think already shows you that you are confident. And I know from experience that most people who are abusive look for people that do not have good posture, and they know exactly what to look for. So I know this sounds silly, but work on your core, because every time that I work on my core, like I go to Pilates, I do weight training, every time when I'm really focused on this, my core gets stronger and I feel so much more confident. I feel more like myself, and like I also have my things together more. So this is maybe a niche tip, but I just still wanted to share. So the last tips, if you have done the therapy, have learned more about yourself, if you have done the shadow work and started reading books about the things that you find really interesting, then I think it is time for embodiment. And embodiment is really about embodying the things that you want to, become and be, or are already, but just haven't shown it to the world yet. So embodiment is such a beautiful practice. And if you want to be more confident, show up more confident. Show up where you feel confident. Show up in outfits that make you feel confident. Start to become the person or the woman that you feel most confident as. And that is being yourself. Being your truest self. And you can only become or be or embody your true self when you know yourself. And I have struggled with this a lot. I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder a few years ago, and something that I really, really struggled with was a sense of self. And it was really funny because I know that I'm a confident person, but I was just lacking that direction, and I was trying to put myself in like a million different boxes, or kind of like finding those boxes, but I never really fit with anyone. And I think if you have ADHD, BPD, OCD, or autism, then I think that you can feel the same way. Like you feel like your whole life, you feel like something is wrong with you. But ever since I got that diagnosis, I was like everything made so much sense to me, and I started to feel more normal, and I started to feel more like I could embrace myself, and started to express myself in different ways too, that I think, to define is to limit yourself. And this is something that every time, like, I thought I really needed to fit inside of this box where all I had to do was remove that box. The box does not exist. And I think my whole life I tried to define myself, and I don't have to do that, and you don't have to either. And ever since I removed that box, I felt more confidence, and I started to see the woman inside of me take better shape. without that fucking box. So you become so magnetic when you start to embrace your authentic self. When you start to embrace your authentic self, that is when you become the most magnetic. And if you cannot do this, you have to ask yourself, who the hell am I trying to attract that shouldn't be in my life anyway? Because the reason why you're not being your authentic self is because you think something in your life belongs to you that doesn't belong to you. You have to remove all the distraction. You have to remove everything that is not yours. And you when I'm talking about this, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. You need to let it go. And you need to become your authentic self, because when you are your authentic self, that is when you're going to attract everything that is supposed to be in your life. You're going to attract the most beautiful relationships. You're going to attract, real connection with other people, whether those are friendships or community. You're going to understand yourself better. You're going to be better at being in the moment. Everything, all the opportunities will come to you, and you have to trust. Again, trust is so important. Talking about friendships and community, you know the people who are good for you, you know the people who are not good for you. And I think that when you start to let go of those people that are not speaking power into you, who are not thinking the best for you or wanting the best for you, you will find so much relief. And I'm not saying, go through your phone and block everyone. I don't think that is the way to do it, but you can let go. Like, you can let go as a practice. You can let go. You can release them. Release them from the mind, release them from your life, and everything will flow. And back to confidence. I want you to pause this video, leave a comment, please. I really love reading those. Tell me something that makes you feel confident. So pause this video and tell me right now. And then when you're back, I want you to pause this video again, and I want you to start 3 things. Like, I want you to write down 3 things that make you feel so confident and so powerful. And I want you to write something down that you want to work on to feel more confident. So thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed recording this. I'm very excited to be back on YouTube. So please leave a like and a comment, and I will talk to you next week.